What does it mean to live a worthwhile, fulfilling 21st century life? What is the role of a futurist, and really anyone, in a terrified, compromised, morally ambiguous world? And why? Why does everyone hate us? And does this have the makings of tragedy or comedy? These are some of the questions I asked myself when I began writing The Futurist. The Futurist is the story of the rise and fall of J.P. Yates, a consultant who tells corporations and governments what's next. But mostly what he's been telling them lately is whatever it is they want to hear. The Futurist never saw it coming, but now that he thinks of it, it's not surprising. Not surprising that she's telling him in the most intentionally archaic way, a pen and ink note slipped into his state-of-the-art carry-on, written in past tense. The only way Lauren could have topped the irony of this is to have told him via foot messenger, or carrier pigeon, or smoke signals. All of which would be hard to do right now since he's 37,000 feet in the air somewhere between New York and Johannesburg. But she does top this. Right after a passage that begins with, "Among the many reasons I can suffer you no longer," and concludes with, "Delusional, sociopathic prognosticator," she tells Yates, the futurist, that she's leaving him for a 6th grade history teacher. This character, I thought it was interesting, if not impossible, for someone whose job it was to try to make sense of the world circa 2005 and to predict not only what's going to happen in the near future but in the far future. And I thought it was almost comic and absurd. In this character Yates, we have someone who at first blush isn't the most likable person in the world, but the more we get to know him, I find that I know I did, and I know that other people who read the book actually rooted for him. And why they rooted for him, I think, is because deep down they could sort of identify with the fact that his cynicism is more of a misplaced idealism. I began The Futurist soon after 9/11, and while some of the corporate irony was informed by my experiences as a creative director for a large ad agency, more than anything, the book was informed by a response to the state of the world at this particular moment. For instance, the merger of commerce and politics, media manipulation and geopolitical policy, a celebrity-obsessed, morally conflicted society, and a globalized, war-torn planet. People have brought attention to the fact that this recently democratized Arabic nation of Basar is much like Iraq, and the fact that there's such a large corporate role in what's going on in Iraq with Bechtel and Halliburton and companies like that. They found it interesting, if not coincidental, that there were similar business expos going on in my fictional Muslim nation. College students really seemed to like it because it was an American taking a very kind of self-aware, critical look at America and how they stand in the world. And strangely enough, business travelers, I would get emails from people who had been through the corporate grind and people who had been to these off-sites and heard enough bullshit to just like make them want to blow their heads off, and they would say, "You nailed it. You really got it." I was in my office with an account executive discussing the 500th change to a TV commercial for a deodorant stick when my agent called and told me that we have 3 offers for the book within 24 hours. I asked the account person to leave, called my wife, and I broke down in tears. So far, it's been published in 14 countries, and film rights for The Futurist were optioned to a company called Reason Pictures. Their mission statement is to do commercially viable projects with a socially redeeming message. If you can do that and make people laugh, I think it's a pretty admirable mission statement.
Bye.